We hit the canyon just after noon. I said, "Here we go," another curse, and Jen rolled her eyes and told me to shut up and carry the pack. The path cut in like a seam. Walls, straight up. Statues everywhere, shoulder to shoulder. Some were worn, some clean. No faces you could name, just smooth suggestions. I've seen worse sights. We were alone. Nothing moved but a hawk way up. The air felt good at first, dry and bright. I did my usual. GPS ping, paper map, chalk in pocket, rope coiled. I tapped a statue with my knuckles and said, "Ancient fan club, no big deal." I wasn't reverent. I know, saves you emails, but I get grumpy in heat. Jen shaded her eyes. "Look at this," she said. "What?" "What?" "The shadows." The shadows. I glanced. The sun was left and high. The statue shadows should have stretched to the right. Most did. Some didn't. A few were a little off. One looked like it was reaching the wrong way, like it wanted a different sun. I laughed. "Tilted base," I said. "Nothing is level." She didn't laugh. "Take a photo." I snapped one of a statue with a cracked head. Nice texture. I checked the screen. There was the statue, our boot tips at the bottom, and two dark shapes. The usual shadow on the right and another long one a little to the front. Detached, like it came loose. I frowned. "Lens flare." "That's not flare," she said. She took one too. On hers, the second shadow bent around a rock with no light to push it. When she swiped to the next shot, it moved a little. Just a little. I said, "It's a bug." I snapped 3 in a row, stepped to the side, stepped back. On the third one, the extra shadow touched my boot. The leather went cold through the toe. I jerked my foot and laughed, because that's what you do. "Okay," I said. "Now we have a story." We set our start mark. Chalk X on the entrance rock. A number 1. I tied the rope to a wedged boulder. Not because we needed it. It was a narrow, winding path. One way in and out. But it calmed Jen. I clipped a carabiner. We walked slow and numbered statues at corners. I did it my way. Left to right. 1 to 100 if it took us all day. The echo was funny in there. I said 1, and 3 seconds later I got a 1 back. Then a 1, again like it changed its mind. It made me grin. Cheap theater. We went in. 10 statues deep. 20. The light felt like it should have been baking, but it wasn't. It got cooler as we walked. My elbows prickled. Dust drifted from cracks above us even though there was no wind. It fell in little straight lines, like someone sprinkled it. At statue 26, Jen said, "Did that one turn?" "What?" "The head. It was looking left." "It's stone." We both stared at it. Nose chipped off. Nothing in the face but where. Eyes like dents. It looked straight ahead now. We looked at each other and didn't say it out loud. I chalked an arrow on its base. Left. There. If it turns, we'll know. At 33, I felt a tug. Not the rope. My pack strap. It pulled back. A kid tugging a sleeve. I spun. Nobody there. The rope dangled. Our footprints made clear ovals in the grit. And next to them, not exactly between, another line of prints. Just the ball of a toe and a heel. Long stride. No tread. I squatted. I could see the shape of my own boot in our prints. The extra ones were smoother. They weren't ours. They were side by side like someone walked along with us and missed us by a half foot. I told myself it was some animal. A goat? My mouth was dry for no good reason. I tapped Jen's arm. You saw that. I want to go slow, she said. We are going slow. She meant stop. I didn't stop. I said, look, we wrap a loop of rope around every 20 meters, chalk on every fifth statue, and we're out by 3. We're not first people here. It stayed put this long. Don't joke about it, she said. About curses? Come on, we're 2 degrees in a bent rope. There's no... My headlamp sputtered. It wasn't even on. The bulb buzzed in my pack. I dug it out. The switch flicked. The little LED lit and dimmed on its own, like the charge leaked out in pulses. I clicked it off and checked my hands. My fingers looked normal, but they felt cooler. The air pressed under my nails. We kept going. I dropped small flags, little bits of red tape on wire, like I did back in school. On my 3rd drop, the first one went dark. Not because it blew away. It was just farther now, down the path behind us, like the path stretched when I wasn't looking. I lean into humor when I'm nervous. We're fine, I said. The statues are bored. They're posing for me. I tapped 39 and waited for its echo. It came late, like it took a breath. 39, I muttered, and laughed. Jen didn't. It's colder. It's shade. There's no shade. There wasn't. The sun cut straight down on our heads. But when I breathed out, I saw a little cloud. I rubbed my arms. We took a drink and kept going. I chalked arrows, numbers, happy faces. It made me silly. My handwriting shook. At 45, the rope froze. We heard it first. A small crack sound behind us. We both looked. The rope had frost on it. White. It went brittle where it touched the ground in a low spot. I touched it with my glove. It stuck a little. When I bent it to check, it snapped like an old twig. I said something I won't repeat and then made myself smile because Jen went white. We have plenty of rope. We don't need it anyway. It's one path. She nodded and didn't look me in the eye. She rubbed her hands. The gloves looked thin. At 50, we stopped. I took photos of the statue with the cracked head from before. I wanted to see our chalk arrow. The picture on the screen made my skin crawl. My arrow still showed, but the head didn't. Or not like it was. The face had turned. It looked toward us even though we were 50 statues in now. I scrolled back to my first shot at the entrance. The extra shadow bent away. In the next frame, the shadow leaned toward the statue. In the 3rd, it touched, and the statue's shadow deepened. I tried to show her. The screen brightness went down, then back up by itself, then dimmed again. The battery level jumped. The little icon shook like it was measuring an earthquake. I got annoyed. That's where I live. Irritated. Don't feed it, I said. It's weather and a cheap camera. Stop, she said. She said it flat. She was done with my act. That got me to shut up for half a minute. We tried to turn then. Not a full retreat. Just take a breath. Go back 30 meters. See that the sun still existed behind us. We walked back past 49, 48. Our numbers smudged. At 45, the rope lay snapped. At 44, my arrow was smeared like someone licked it. At 43, the base was clean. I stared at that blank stone. I scraped at it. The chalk dust came off my fingers and hovered. It hung in the air like it got caught, then fell sideways. No wind in my face. It tickled my wrist and made my watch band sting like ice. We kept going back. At 39, I looked right at the statue I tapped before, the one I joked with. It faced us full on. It had no eyes to look, not really, but it did. And next to it, in the grit, the extra prints cut over ours now. They matched my stride exactly for 3 steps and then walked off into the wall like there was a door there. Stone. Solid. Nothing to hide in. My teeth clicked. "This is dumb," I said. "We're walking in circles." "Joe," Jen said, "don't." "Listen, it's a canyon. It turns. We're seeing it at a bad angle. We'll hit the entrance." We didn't. We hit 51. We hit 60. We hit 39 again. The same cracked nose. My arrow on the base was gone, and in its place a crust of frozen dust stuck like rime. I scraped it. My fingernail went numb. I put my finger in my mouth and gagged. It tasted like pennies. "Enough," Jen said. She bent down, put her hand on a statue to steady herself, and jerked back with a sharp sound. Her palm had a white patch on it, with 5 little blue dots in a half circle, like teeth. It faded to pink around the edges, and then went darker. She shook her hand and swore. I got mad then. Not tough mad. Dumb mad. I snapped at the empty path. "Cut it out," I said. "We get it. We'll go. No one cares. Keep your little shadow." The air turned down 2 degrees like someone opened a freezer. My own breath fogged heavy. I grabbed Jen's hand. Her skin felt like she'd fallen into a creek in winter. Goosebumps rose on her arm. "Okay," I said. "We go." I pulled her. We picked up the pace. Flares. I forgot about them. I dug one out. Small road flare. I cracked the cap and scraped the striker. It hissed and spat a weak orange and then flared bright. It felt like a small sun in my hand. The cold in front of us backed up. I felt it. I can't explain it better. It retreated. We walked into the glow. The statues looked flatter in that light and the shadows pulled in like worms. I lit 2 more by 70. I set them on bases like candles. It looked dumb, but it helped. For 50 steps we were warm again. The echo went normal. I said hey, and it came right back. We laughed. We laughed too loud. It felt in my gut like we shouldn't be laughing. When I turned to check our tail, the first flare sputtered and died. The second followed, coughing smoke. My headlamp buzzed again and gave a little white ghost of a beam and went out. "Keep moving," I said. My mouth stuck. Chalk dust collected on my tongue when I breathed. It shouldn't have. At 82, Jen's feet went out from under her. She went down like she got clipped at the ankle. I saw nothing there. The ground looked clear. She slid toward the base of 83, and her boot caught a narrow crack. She twisted. The cold went past me like a person. It brushed my leg and left a line of pain like frostbite. I grabbed her pack and felt a yank the other way. Strong. Not a kid. A grown man. I swore and pulled. She kicked and screamed. Her voice came back to us from somewhere behind. Late. Wrong. That wrong echo made me more angry than scared for a second, and I guess that helped. Because I got her up, she limped. The bruise on her ankle bloomed as we watched. It went white, then gray, then purple in points. Finger shapes. I put my hand on it and the cold bit my palm. It wanted to hold on to her. I wanted to punch something. There was nothing to punch. I did something stupid. I talked to it. I said, "We don't want anything. We're sorry. We'll go. Take the stupid chalk. Take the flags. We'll leave rope. Whatever this is, it's yours." The cold pulled off us a little. My breath cleared. Even Jen sucked in a breath like she surfaced from water. I stood there, shocked that it had worked. I laughed once, a bark, and that was it. The cold came back twice as strong. It hit my back and pushed. I stumbled. We both fell into the base of a statue. My shoulder hit stone hard. My head rang. The echo happened before my head even connected. I heard the thunk, and then I felt it, which made me want to puke. I popped up and lost my temper. I put my hand on the statue, found a seam, and pushed. I had leverage gear. A little pry bar. I jammed it in. "Joe," Jen said, "don't. Don't. It'll move." "Watch," I said. I grunted, put my weight. The base creaked, popped, and shifted a hand's width. I felt a warm breath. I swear, warm. For 1 second, the cold lifted, and the shadow withdrew like a tide. I crowed like an idiot. "See?" I said. "It's just a..." All the dust in the canyon came down. Thin lines, thick. It came out of cracks, out of creases in the statues, out of nothing. My nose filled. My eyes teared up. My throat hurt. The light went greasy. The second shadow in the corner of my eye stretched across our boots and licked at Jen's heel. She yanked up her foot and made a sound I won't forget. Something had changed. I felt it, like I had opened a door and something woke up behind it. We backed away from the shifted statue. I looked at the others. They had ring marks at their bases, not decorative. Where? They had been turned before, by hands. Many times. Everyone pointed not at any path markers, not at the sun, but at odd angles that, if you drew lines in your head like I do, made a net. They looked in at each other. They boxed something I couldn't see. My stomach dropped. My joke died. "We just pulled a nail," Jen said. "Yeah," I said. That's all I could say. Yeah. I got the mirror out. It was hers. A little round signal mirror. We kept one in each kit for sun flashes. I angled it at a dark patch on the ground. The reflected sun hit it and the patch twitched. It drew back like you push a cat with your foot. For a moment I felt smart again. We could make a tunnel of light. I handed her the mirror and pulled out the spare, a flat square from my pocket survival kit. We stood there like idiots, flicking sunlight at shadows. It was working. The path opened, warmer by an inch. We stepped, slow. The cold tried to creep up our legs like water. We kept it off with those little patches of light. We were sweating and shaking. My arms burned. It was heavy to hold your son in your hands. Then the mirrors filmed over. The glass fogged, then sparkled. Not mist. Frost. The frost grew in little veins from the edge and bloomed fast over the center. My beam broke up into little rainbow bits and died. I rubbed it with my sleeve. It stuck to the fabric and tore a hole right through. My fingers went numb. The shadow we had pushed back slithered in and latched onto Jen's boot again. She screamed, hopped, hit me, and her mirror dropped and cracked. We ran. Not smart. We ran blind around a bend. We hit the same statue with the cracked head. I knew the gouge on the base from my chalk. The arrow I drew at the start was under a skin of ice now, faint and wrong. My flares were probably still back there dying. I had the brightest one in my pack. Big marine flare for night signaling. I didn't want to waste it when the sun was up. I took it out anyway. I wanted out more than I wanted to be right. The canyon dimmed. I looked up. Clouds slid over the sun. I don't know where they came from. It had been clean sky when we walked in. They weren't big and pretty. They were like wet gauze. The light in the canyon sagged. It made my skin pull tight. The shadows got thicker. The second shadow was no longer a trick on the screen. It stood there, on the floor, like spilled ink, connected to nothing. It reached for us. You can laugh if you want. I'm telling you what I will swear to in a court. It hit me. It felt like someone shoved a metal sheet under my shirt. Cold so fast it burned. It knocked the breath out of me. I staggered sideways and hit another statue. The statue leaned, and then when I blinked, it leaned a different way, which did not help. The cold reached for Jen next. It got her around the calves. She went down on both knees and clawed at stone that had no mercy. I cracked the cap on the big flare with force that hurt my fingers. I struck it. It spit light like a camera flash, and then roared into this white arc that bled red at the edges. It was hot enough I could feel my eyebrows curl. I held it up, and the heat wall pushed the shadow back and cut us a slot. It didn't disappear. It backed up, pooled, and waited. That's a thing I hate to remember. It waited. It tugged at her. I could see the skin under her socks go the color of old milk. "Run," I said. "Now." She tried. It held on. I made a call I didn't think I could make. I stepped with my own shadow into that pool. It bit me. That is not poetry. It bit. It got the outline of my leg and stuck there. It latched on to the shape I make on the ground and dragged at it, and I felt every tug in my bones. The cold screamed up my muscles. I cried out like something broke. It was like it pulled marrow, but it let go of her. I cried and laughed and swore and shoved the flare into its face, if you can call a floor a face. The flare popped and showered sparks. The shadow recoiled in trillions of little fibers and then coalesced again. It wanted me now. Fine. I had the light. "Through the gap," Jen said. I didn't know what she meant. Everything blurred. She pointed. Two statues stood almost touching ahead. Their heads turned toward each other, if you could call it that. The gap between was maybe a foot. The shadow was broad there, but light from the flare funneled between those heads and made a bright slit on the ground. The statues framed it like a throat. It was a squeeze. I forced my body into that space and dragged the flare down at waist height so the light overlapped with the sun that still made it through the clouds. The cold came after me and hit that slit and thinned. I felt it stretch. I felt it strain. It was like pulling rope through a ring. "Hold it," I said to Jen, sounding like someone else. "Hold the light." She took my headlamp, even though it wasn't on, and held it up. It stayed off. She swore, ripped a page off the paper map, set it on the fire of the flare, and used the paper as a second white. Smart. I love her. The paper blew ash and stank. It helped. I took the rope and looped it around the shoulder of the left statue and leaned with all I had. The rope squeaked through frozen grit. The statue shifted half an inch. The gap tightened. The light got thinner and brighter. The shadow hit the choke and flattened like a thing under a door. It thrashed. It struck my hands with cold and clipped my fingers. My knuckles went white and then dark. I kept leaning. The rope cut my gloves and bit my palms. I felt skin give. I didn't care. "Move," I begged it. It moved. The two statues touched. Stone kissed stone. The sound was a little click that I felt more than heard. The shadow shuddered like someone put weight on it. It pinned. Not dead. Held. I knew if I eased up, it would surge. I wasn't going to ease up. Go, I told Jen. Out. Now. She slipped through to the other side of the choke. She pulled my pack with her. I squeezed after, dragging the flare in my bad leg. The shadow tugged at what it had of me. I bit the inside of my cheek hard enough to taste blood. Warmth hit that and made the cold worse. I used the flare like a blade, cut slices of brightness on the ground, kept its face back. Then we were through. We ran. The clouds shifted just enough. A smear of sun made the path ahead less awful. We ran with small steps because the grit tried to trip us. We didn't speak. I didn't joke. The statues leaned and watched us the whole way. I know that sentence makes no sense. That was how it felt. They faced us no matter what. That was wrong for the first half. It made me hurry. It made me furious and scared at the same time. We blew past the place where I broke the base earlier. I saw the ring of clean stone where it had sat tight for a long time. A long time. That's when the twist of it hit me, hard enough to make me lightheaded. They weren't idols. They were doorstops. They were latches. I had been proud to move one. Good job, Joe. You were the guy who opened it a little wider. We did not stop until I saw daylight at the bend where you get that triangle of blue and yellow sand. My legs shook. My teeth chattered even though the sun was right there. We blew around the last corner and hit the entrance. I put my hand on the start rock I'd chalked. The chalk smeared under my palm. My hand left a red print that turned white at the edges. I pulled it back fast. I made myself look. I had to. The statues at the mouth had been facing all kinds of ways when we walked in. Some toward each other, some down canyon. Now every head, don't ask me how, every head angled toward us, just a hair, as if to see who made it. I don't care if you call that a trick of light. That's what I saw. One had a new chip on the cheek, a line that made a profile I knew. The cut of the mouth, the slope of the nose. It was Jen in stone, soft and wrong but her. I looked over at her. She looked back and didn't see it yet. I didn't tell her. We backed out. We didn't turn our backs all the way. The gravel under our boots whispered. Not because we walked. It whispered behind us, dry and steady, like a long dress dragging. It kept going a second after we stopped. On the trail, I caught my breath and looked down. My shadow lay at my feet. It did not line up with the sun edge right away. It lagged. It came to heel a second after I moved. It was darker than the ground, colder than the air. When I stepped on it by mistake, I felt it in my bones. We got to the truck. We drove weird and quiet to the motel. I turned on every light. I stood in the bathroom and watched my shadow in the mirror. It blinked a beat behind my hands. I went through the photos later, because I am who I am. In the first one, before we even crossed the start mark, way back at the lip, there was a small detail I missed. The statue with the cracked head, number whatever, had the hint of a face in the worn stone. Not an old king. Not a god. It was a woman's profile. It was Jen's. Before we went in, I shut off the screen. I didn't look again. I told myself I'd go fix what I broke. I told myself I'd turn the base back, take friends, bring halogens and mirrors we can't fog. It sounded good when I said it. Then I stood up and my shadow didn't get up right away. It stayed sitting for a second and then slid up to meet me. I sat back down. We didn't go back. We moved. I do other work now. My hands still carry the marks. faint and wrong. My wife sleeps with socks on even in summer. When we walk by buildings in evening light, we walk fast, because sometimes the stoned figures up high, saints, lions, who knows, look down at us. At night, if I close my eyes, I hear gravel whisper on a path that isn't near my house. I hear it stop right after I stop. And when we passed the canyon last month, on a road far off where no one goes, I looked once, because I couldn't help it. The entrance statues had turned outward. They were all looking the way we went. I kept my eyes on the road. I didn't check if there were footprints behind us. I didn't check if a second shadow walked between us. I didn't check if my own shadow kept up. I didn't need to. I could feel the cold come into my bones a second late and settle there like a hand. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It really helps the channel. And if you're not too scared yet, check out one of the other stories waiting for you. See you in the next one.